Michael Henderson, 31, and Sarah Henderson, 29, disappeared on October 2, 1994, while hiking in a remote section of Arches National Park in Utah. The couple from Colorado Springs had been on what family members described as an anniversary trip when they vanished without a trace from the fiery furnace area of the park. According to police reports filed with the Grand County Sheriff's Office, Michael Henderson worked as a freelance photographer specializing in outdoor and landscape photography. His business, Henderson Nature Photography, had been operating for 3 years from their home in Colorado Springs. Sarah Henderson was employed as a 4th-grade teacher at Broadmoor Elementary School, where she had worked since graduating from the University of Colorado in 1987. They were both outdoor enthusiasts, stated Margaret Henderson, Michael's mother, in a 1994 interview with the Colorado Springs Gazette. Michael had been photographing national parks for his portfolio, and Sarah loved geology. She was always collecting rocks and reading about rock formations. The couple had been married for 6 years at the time of their disappearance. According to their friend Lisa Martinez, who worked with Sarah at Broadmoor Elementary, the Hendersons had been planning the Utah trip for several months. Sarah was excited about seeing the rock arches, Martinez told investigators. She had been reading guidebooks and geology texts about the area since the summer. Bank records obtained by investigators showed that Michael had withdrawn $800 in cash on September 28, 1994, 4 days before their departure. Credit card statements indicated they had purchased camping equipment, including a new tent and sleeping bags, from a Colorado Springs outdoor gear store on September 25th. Store employee David Kim confirmed the purchase in his statement to police, describing the couple as well-prepared and knowledgeable about camping. The Hendersons left Colorado Springs on September 30th, 1994, driving a rented Ford Explorer. According to the rental agreement from Budget Car Rental, the vehicle was due back on October 7th. Phone records show Sarah called her sister, Patricia Novak, on September 29th to confirm their itinerary. She told me they planned to spend a week in Utah, visiting Arches and possibly Canyonlands, Novak reported to investigators. Sarah said they wanted to get away from crowds and photograph some of the lesser-known areas. Motel 6 in Moab, Utah, confirmed the Hendersons checked in on October 1, 1994, at approximately 4:30 p.m. Front desk clerk Janet Walsh recalled the couple in her police interview, describing them as friendly and tired from driving. According to Walsh, Sarah asked about trail maps and less crowded areas of the park. The woman seemed really knowledgeable about geology, Walsh stated. She was asking specific questions about rock formations. Park Ranger Tom Bradley, who was working the visitor center on October 2nd, remembered speaking with a couple matching the Hendersons' description around 8 a.m. They asked about backcountry areas and mentioned wanting to photograph unique formations away from the main tourist routes, Bradley told investigators. According to his report, he provided them with a detailed map and warned them about staying on marked trails and carrying sufficient water. The couple's planned route, reconstructed from maps found in their motel room and Bradley's testimony, included several remote areas of the park, particularly the fiery furnace section and surrounding backcountry. According to park regulations, visitors to Fiery Furnace were required to obtain permits and, in most cases, join guided tours. However, records show no permit was issued to the Hendersons for that date. Equipment found in their motel room by investigators included detailed topographical maps with several areas circled in red ink, photography equipment including 2 cameras and multiple lenses, and Sarah's geology field notebook containing sketches and notes about rock formations. The notebook, entered as evidence, contained detailed observations about sedimentary layers and geological processes, indicating Sarah's serious interest in the subject. According to the police report, the Hendersons were expected to check out of their motel on October 5th, but failed to appear. Motel manager Robert Chen called the room multiple times before using a master key to enter around noon. All their belongings were still there, Chen reported. The bed had been slept in, but it looked like they had left early in the morning. Chen contacted Grand County Sheriff's Office at 1:15 p.m. on October 5th, after discovering the couple's packed suitcases, unused toiletries, and Sarah's purse containing her driver's license and credit cards. The purse also contained a handwritten list of geological features they planned to photograph, according to the inventory report. Park rangers located the Hendersons' rental vehicle in the courthouse tower's parking area at approximately 3 p.m. on October 5th. The Ford Explorer was locked with no signs of forced entry or damage. Inside the vehicle, investigators found Michael's camera bag containing backup equipment, Sarah's geology textbooks, a cooler with spoiled food, and bottled water. The car keys were missing. Search operations began immediately, coordinated between the National Park Service, Grand County Sheriff's Office, and Utah State Police. According to the official search report, over 50 personnel participated in the initial ground search, including trained search and rescue volunteers, park rangers, and tracking dogs. Dr. James Peterson, a geologist from the University of Utah who assisted in the search, noted that the terrain around Fiery Furnace presented numerous challenges. The area contains maze-like passages between sandstone fins, Peterson explained in his consultation report. It's easy to become disoriented, and there are numerous hidden crevices and drop-offs. The search focused on areas the couple had marked on their maps, particularly remote sections requiring technical climbing skills. Michael's photography background suggested he might attempt to reach difficult locations for unique shots, according to search coordinator Captain Ray Martinez of Grand County Sheriff's Office. Weather conditions during the search period were documented as clear and warm, with daytime temperatures reaching 75 degrees Fahrenheit. However, nighttime temperatures dropped to near 40 degrees, raising concerns about exposure if the couple were stranded without shelter. Family members arrived in Moab within days of the disappearance. Michael's parents, Margaret and Robert Henderson, and Sarah's sister Patricia Novak, coordinated with local authorities and media. "We just want them found," Margaret Henderson told the Moab Times Independent newspaper on October 8, 1994. "Michael knows the outdoors, but this desert country is different from Colorado." The search expanded to include helicopter overflights and technical rock climbing teams accessing previously unexplored areas. According to rescue reports, searchers covered over 50 square miles of terrain, following established trails and exploring unmarked areas where the couple might have ventured. Local volunteers, including members of the Moab community and fellow outdoor enthusiasts, joined the search effort. Restaurant owner Maria Santos, who had served the Hendersons breakfast on October 2nd, organized food for search teams. "They seemed like such a nice couple," Santos told the Desert Sun newspaper. "The woman was asking me about local hiking spots that weren't too crowded." As the search entered its second week, investigators began examining other possibilities. Credit card records showed no activity after September 30th. Phone records indicated no calls made from their motel room after check-in. Bank account activity ceased entirely after the initial cash withdrawal in Colorado Springs. The couple's employers in Colorado Springs confirmed neither had requested extended time off. Broadmoor Elementary School principal Karen Thompson stated that Sarah was expected back to work on October 10th and had left detailed lesson plans for her substitute. "Sarah was very responsible," Thompson told investigators. "She would never disappear without notice." Michael's photography clients, contacted by police, confirmed he had scheduled shoots for mid-October. His business partner, Steve Kowalski, reported that Michael had been excited about the Utah trip as an opportunity to expand his portfolio with southwestern landscape images. By October 20th, 1994, the active search had covered all accessible areas within reasonable distance of the couple's last known location. Search and rescue coordinator Martinez announced that operations would transition to limited patrols and investigation of any new information from the public. The case attracted regional media attention, with several Colorado and Utah newspapers featuring the story. The Denver Post published a detailed article on October 15th, including photographs of the couple and descriptions of their planned activities. Tips from the public led to several false sightings throughout Utah and Colorado, all of which were investigated and ruled out. According to the final search report filed on November 15, 1994, investigators had found no physical evidence of the Hendersons' presence in the areas they were known to have planned to visit. No clothing, equipment, or personal items were recovered despite extensive searching of the rugged terrain. The case remained open but inactive, with periodic reviews when new information emerged. Over the following months, family members continued to travel to Utah, organizing private search efforts and distributing flyers throughout the region. The Hendersons' disappearance became one of several unsolved cases in Utah's national parks during the 1990s. The Henderson disappearance case took a critical turn on October 21, 1994, when investigators from the FBI's Salt Lake City field office officially joined the investigation at the request of Grand County Sheriff's Office. Special Agent Rebecca Torres, assigned as lead federal investigator, stated in her initial report that the case met criteria for potential federal involvement due to the interstate nature of the disappearance and the location within a national park. According to Torres's case files, the investigation immediately focused on reconstructing the couple's final known activities on October 2, 1994. Security footage from a gas station in Moab showed Michael Henderson purchasing fuel and snacks at 7:42 a.m. that morning. Store clerk Jennifer Park confirmed in her statement that she remembered the transaction because Michael asked for directions to less crowded areas of Arches National Park. He seemed like he knew what he was doing, Park told investigators. He bought trail mix energy bars and asked if we had any detailed trail maps. I told him the visitor center would have better maps than what we carried in the store. The couple's rental Ford Explorer was captured on the park entrance camera at 8:23 a.m. on October 2nd. Park Service records show they paid the standard entrance fee, but did not stop at the visitor center, contrary to what Ranger Tom Bradley had reported about speaking with them that morning. This discrepancy became a focal point of the investigation. Agent Torres interviewed Bradley extensively about his recollection of the encounter. In his revised statement dated October 25, 1994, Bradley acknowledged he might have confused the Hendersons with another couple from that busy weekend. We had a lot of visitors that first week of October, Bradley stated. I may have mixed up conversations with different tourists asking about backcountry areas. Cell phone records, though limited due to poor coverage in the area, showed Michael's phone last connected to a tower at 9:47 a.m. on October 2nd. The location data indicated the signal originated from somewhere near the courthouse towers area, consistent with where their vehicle was later found. No further phone activity was recorded. The investigation revealed that Sarah Henderson had made detailed notes in her geology field notebook about specific formations she wanted to photograph. According to Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a geology professor at Utah State University, who was consulted to interpret Sarah's notes, the couple appeared to be targeting several remote locations requiring technical climbing skills. Her notes show advanced understanding of the geological processes that formed these structures, Dr. Rodriguez stated in her consultant report. She had identified several formations that would require leaving established trails and potentially using climbing equipment to access safely. This discovery led investigators to expand their search to include areas requiring technical rescue expertise. Captain Martinez coordinated with specialized cliff rescue teams from Salt Lake City and Denver to access previously unexplored crevices and elevated rock formations. On October 28, 1994, searchers discovered what appeared to be fresh footprints in a sandy wash approximately 2 miles from the courthouse towers parking area. The prints, photographed and cast by crime scene technicians, appeared to match the boot sizes listed on the Hendersons' driver's licenses. However, subsequent analysis by the FBI's forensic laboratory in Quantico proved inconclusive due to weathering and contamination from other hikers. The boot print discovery prompted an intensive search of the surrounding area, known locally as Devil's Garden Backcountry. This remote section of the park contained numerous unmarked trails and geological features that matched descriptions in Sarah's notebook. Search teams spent 5 days systematically exploring every accessible canyon and rock formation within a 3-mile radius. During this expanded search, investigators recovered several items that initially appeared promising. A blue bandana found wedged in rocks was identified by Sarah's sister, Patricia Novak, as possibly belonging to Sarah, who frequently wore blue accessories. However, the bandana showed significant weathering, suggesting it had been exposed to elements for much longer than the few weeks since the disappearance. FBI forensic analysis of the bandana revealed no DNA evidence linking it to the Hendersons. The fabric composition and manufacturing labels indicated it was likely several years old and unrelated to the case. According to Agent Torres's supplemental report, dated November 3, 1994. Family members intensified their own search efforts during this period. Robert and Margaret Henderson, along with several friends from Colorado, organized weekend search parties throughout November 1994. They focused on areas they felt had received insufficient attention from official search teams, particularly remote camping spots that might appeal to experienced outdoor enthusiasts. Michael always liked to find places where other tourists hadn't been, Robert Henderson explained in an interview with KSL Television News on November 12, 1994. He would study maps for hours looking for unique photographic opportunities. We think he might have taken Sarah somewhere off the beaten path. The family's independent search efforts led to friction with official investigators, who worried about evidence contamination and safety concerns. Agent Torres issued a public statement on November 15th, requesting that civilian searchers coordinate with law enforcement before entering potentially dangerous areas. Investigation records show that by December 1994, authorities had received over 200 tips from the public. Each tip was logged and investigated, with the majority proving to be false sightings or unrelated incidents. However, several tips provided valuable information about other visitors to the park during the relevant time period. One significant tip came from Denver resident Mark Thompson, who reported seeing a couple matching the Hendersons' description on October 2nd near a formation called Landscape Arch. Thompson, an experienced hiker who regularly visited Utah parks, contacted authorities after seeing news coverage of the disappearance. "I remember them because they were carrying professional camera equipment," Thompson stated in his December 8th interview with investigators. The man had a large telephoto lens and was photographing the woman against the rock formations. She seemed excited about the geology and kept pointing out different features. Thompson's account placed the couple in a different area than previously assumed, leading to another intensive search of the Landscape Arch region. This search, conducted in challenging winter conditions, failed to uncover any additional evidence, but confirmed that the couple had deviated from their stated plans. Weather records from October 2nd through 4th, 1994, obtained from the National Weather Service, showed optimal conditions for outdoor activities. Daytime temperatures reached 72 degrees with clear skies and minimal wind. Overnight temperatures dropped to 45 degrees, cold but not life-threatening for properly equipped campers. However, meteorologist Dr. Patricia Walsh noted in her consultation report that desert conditions could change rapidly. "Even in good weather, the high desert presents challenges," Walsh stated. "Dehydration occurs faster than most people expect, and nighttime temperature drops can be dangerous for unprepared individuals." The investigation took another turn in January 1995, when park maintenance worker Luis Morales reported finding what appeared to be camera equipment near a remote area called Fiery Furnace. Morales, who had been clearing trails of winter debris, discovered a damaged camera lens approximately 3 miles from any established trail. FBI forensic examination of the lens revealed it was manufactured by Canon and matched the type of equipment Michael Henderson was known to use, according to his photography business partner Steve Kowalski. However, the lens showed extensive weather damage suggesting prolonged exposure to elements, and serial number records could not definitively link it to Michael's equipment inventory. "The damage pattern is consistent with repeated freeze-thaw cycles and possible impact damage," stated FBI forensic examiner Dr. Amanda Foster in her report. "Without additional markings or documentation, we cannot conclusively connect this lens to the missing persons." The lens discovery prompted another search of the Fiery Furnace area, involving specialized canyon rescue teams and metal detector units. This search, conducted over 8 days in February 1995, covered previously inaccessible areas, but yielded no additional evidence. Family attorney David Chen, hired by the Henderson and Novak families, expressed frustration with the pace of the investigation in a March 1995 press conference. "8 months have passed, and we have virtually no concrete evidence about what happened to Michael and Sarah," Chen stated. "The families deserve answers, and the public deserves to know if there are safety issues in our national parks." Chen's statements prompted a response from National Park Service Director James Wilson, who defended the search efforts and emphasized the challenges of investigating disappearances in remote wilderness areas. Our rangers and law enforcement partners have conducted the most extensive search in park history, Wilson stated. The terrain and weather conditions present extraordinary challenges that the public may not fully understand. Internal Park Service memos, later released through Freedom of Information Act requests, revealed concerns about the impact of the Henderson case on tourism to Arches National Park. Marketing staff expressed worry that extensive media coverage might deter families from visiting the park, potentially affecting local economic activity. By spring 1995, the active investigation had been scaled back to periodic reviews and follow-up on new tips. Agent Torres submitted her final report on the case in April 1995, concluding that despite extensive efforts, no evidence had been found to determine what happened to Michael and Sarah Henderson. All available investigative techniques have been employed in this case, Torres wrote. Without additional evidence or witness information, the disappearance of Michael and Sarah Henderson remains unexplained. The case will remain open pending new developments. The Henderson family established a reward fund in May 1995, offering $10,000 for information leading to the discovery of Michael and Sarah, or resolution of their disappearance. The reward announcement generated renewed media attention and several dozen new tips, none of which provided breakthrough information. Patricia Novak, Sarah's sister, became the primary family spokesperson during this period, regularly contacting media outlets and maintaining public awareness of the case. "We're not giving up," Novak told the Salt Lake Tribune in a June 1995 interview. "Someone out there knows something that could help us understand what happened to my sister and Michael." The case file, now containing over 3,000 pages of reports, interviews, and evidence logs, was transferred to the Cold Case Unit of the Grand County Sheriff's Office in September 1995. Detective Maria Santos, newly assigned to review cold cases, began a systematic examination of all evidence and witness statements. Santos identified several areas where the initial investigation might have been expanded, including more thorough background checks on other park visitors during the relevant time period and enhanced analysis of the couple's financial records and personal communications. However, by this time, many potential witnesses had relocated, and evidence had degraded beyond useful analysis. The Henderson disappearance became one of 12 unsolved cases in Utah's national parks during the 1990s, contributing to ongoing debates about safety protocols and visitor education in remote wilderness areas. Park Service officials implemented new requirements for backcountry permits and enhanced warning systems about potential hazards in unmarked areas. On September 15, 2024, 30 years after the Henderson disappearance, professional rock climber Jessica Martinez made a discovery that would reopen one of Utah's most puzzling cold cases. Martinez, leading a technical climbing expedition in the remote Devil's Garden backcountry area of Arches National Park, noticed unusual markings on a sandstone wall approximately 40 feet above ground level. "At first, I thought it was just natural weathering patterns," Martinez stated in her report to park rangers. "But when I got closer with my headlamp, I could see it was definitely carved by human hands. The letters were crude, but deliberate." Martinez documented the discovery with photographs before rappelling down to notify her climbing partners, David Chen and Robert Kim, both experienced climbers from Salt Lake City. The carved message, etched into the sandstone face, read, "Sarah HOC 1994, they took M help." Park Ranger Susan Williams received Martinez's report at 4:30 p.m. and immediately contacted the Grand County Sheriff's Office. Detective Carlos Mendoza, now head of the Cold Case Unit, arrived at the scene within 2 hours, accompanied by FBI Special Agent Jennifer Brooks, who had been briefed on the historical Henderson case. The location was extremely difficult to access, Detective Mendoza noted in his preliminary report. It would require advanced climbing skills and specialized equipment to reach the spot where the carving was made. This wasn't a casual hiker's location. FBI forensic specialists arrived on September 17th to photograph and analyze the carved message. Dr. Rebecca Torres, a forensic anthropologist with the FBI's evidence response team, used specialized lighting and 3D scanning equipment to document every detail of the carving. The tool marks suggest a sharp metal object, possibly a knife or climbing tool, Dr. Torres reported. The depth and consistency of the cuts indicate someone spent considerable time creating this message, despite being in a precarious position. The discovery immediately prompted officials to re-examine the original 1994 case files. Detective Mendoza contacted Patricia Novak, Sarah's sister, who confirmed that Sarah typically signed her name as Sarah H. in casual situations, and that she carried a multi-tool on hiking trips that could have been used for carving. Sarah always carried a Leatherman tool, Novak told investigators during her September 20th interview. She used it for collecting rock samples and general camping tasks. She definitely had the strength and determination to climb to that location if she was desperate. The carved message's reference to "they took M" suggested that Michael Henderson had been separated from his wife under circumstances that Sarah perceived as threatening. This detail contradicted the original investigation's assumption that both individuals had disappeared simultaneously due to an accident. Agent Brooks coordinated with the National Park Service to conduct a comprehensive search of the area surrounding the carving location. Advanced ground-penetrating radar equipment was deployed to scan for any subsurface anomalies that might indicate burial sites or hidden objects. On September 25th, search teams using metal detectors located Sarah Henderson's multi-tool, wedged in a rock crevice approximately 100 yards from the carving site. The tool, significantly weathered but still identifiable by its serial number, was confirmed to belong to Sarah through purchase records maintained by her sister. Dr. Amanda Foster, forensic examiner with the FBI laboratory in Quantico, analyzed the multi-tool for trace evidence. "We found microscopic sandstone particles embedded in the blade edges that match the geological composition of the carved message location," Foster stated in her preliminary findings report. The discovery raised immediate questions about why this remote area had not been thoroughly searched during the original 1994 investigation. Former Detective Maria Santos, who had worked on the case, explained in a September 28th interview that the location would have been considered inaccessible to typical park visitors. "In 1994, we focused our searches on areas that matched the skill level and equipment we knew the Hendersons possessed," Santos stated. "Technical rock climbing to that elevation would have been beyond what their background suggested they could accomplish." Review of the original case files revealed that Sarah Henderson had been more experienced in climbing than initially documented. Her college transcripts, obtained through the reopened investigation, showed she had completed courses in rock climbing and outdoor recreation at the University of Colorado. Detective Mendoza contacted Dr. James Peterson, the geologist who had consulted on the original search, to reassess the significance of Sarah's carved message location. Peterson noted that the spot provided a commanding view of several access routes through the backcountry area. "Someone positioned at that location could observe movement throughout the Devil's Garden area," Peterson explained in his updated consultation report. "If Sarah climbed there voluntarily, she may have been trying to signal for help or monitor activity in the surrounding terrain." The phrase "they took M" became a central focus of the renewed investigation. FBI behavioral analysts suggested the language indicated Sarah believed Michael had been taken by multiple individuals, rather than lost due to natural causes or accidents. Special Agent Brooks initiated background investigations into all individuals who had been present in the park during October 1994, using visitor registration records and employee schedules. This process revealed several names that had not been thoroughly investigated during the original case. Among these was maintenance worker Thomas Riley, who had been employed by a Park Service contractor in 1994, but left his position shortly after the Henderson disappearance. Riley's employment records showed a pattern of disciplinary issues and complaints from female park visitors about inappropriate behavior. Attempts to locate Riley for questioning revealed he had died in a vehicle accident in Nevada in 2018. However, his former supervisor, Frank Martinez, provided information that raised additional concerns about Riley's activities during the relevant time period. Tom had access to all areas of the park and knew the backcountry better than most rangers, Martinez told investigators in an October 5th interview. He also had a history of confrontational behavior, especially toward couples camping in remote areas. The renewed investigation also uncovered communications between Park Service officials in 1994 that had not been included in the original case files. Internal memos discussed concerns about negative publicity affecting park tourism and pressure to conclude the search quickly. One memo, dated November 10, 1994, from Assistant Superintendent William Hayes to Regional Director Patricia Adams stated, "Extended search operations are creating media attention that may impact visitor numbers next season. Recommend transitioning to cold case status to minimize ongoing publicity." These documents suggested that economic considerations may have influenced the scope and duration of the original investigation, potentially leaving crucial evidence undiscovered for 3 decades. The investigation into Thomas Riley's background yielded disturbing information when Detective Mendoza contacted Riley's former roommate, Kevin Walsh, on October 12, 2024. Walsh, now a construction foreman in Las Vegas, initially denied knowledge of Riley's activities, but agreed to cooperate after being informed about the Henderson case connection. "Tom used to talk about couples who came to the park," Walsh stated in his recorded interview. He said some of them were asking for trouble, going to places they didn't belong. He had strong opinions about people from out of state treating the desert like their personal playground. Walsh revealed that Riley had kept detailed records of park visitors and often spoke about teaching lessons to tourists who didn't respect the land. According to Walsh, Riley believed wealthy visitors from Colorado and California were exploiting sacred desert areas for recreational purposes. Walsh's statement led investigators to examine Riley's personnel file more thoroughly. Employment records revealed that Riley had been terminated from a previous job at Zion National Park in 1992, following complaints about inappropriate contact with female visitors. The termination report, filed by Supervisor Janet Morrison, described incidents of Riley following women hikers and making unwelcome comments about their safety in remote areas. Further investigation revealed that Riley had maintained detailed knowledge of remote park areas and possessed keys to maintenance roads that provided access to backcountry locations. His work schedule for October 1994 showed he was assigned to trail maintenance in the Devil's Garden area. During the week the Hendersons disappeared, former co-worker Daniel Kim provided additional context about Riley's behavior during October 1994. "Tom was agitated that week," Kim told investigators in an October 15 interview. "He kept complaining about tourists with expensive gear camping in areas they shouldn't access. He said someone needed to show them the desert wasn't a playground." On October 18, 2024, investigators received a breakthrough when Nevada State Police located Riley's storage unit in Henderson, Nevada. The unit, which had been maintained under automatic payment since Riley's death, contained personal items including journals and photographs dating back to his time at Arches National Park. FBI forensic examiners discovered that Riley had kept a detailed log of park visitors, particularly couples camping in remote areas. The log, written in Riley's handwriting, contained descriptions of visitors' vehicles, equipment, and planned activities. An entry dated October 2, 1994, described a Colorado couple with expensive camera gear heading to backcountry areas without proper permits. More disturbing was the discovery of photographs Riley had taken of various park visitors without their knowledge. Among these was a distant photograph showing 2 individuals matching the Hendersons' description near the courthouse towers area on what appeared to be October 2, 1994. The photograph was time-stamped and showed the couple unaware they were being observed. Agent Brooks coordinated with the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit to examine Riley's journals and develop a psychological profile. The analysis suggested Riley harbored resentment toward affluent tourists and may have viewed couples enjoying the park as targets for his anger about environmental degradation. The journal entries show escalating hostility toward park visitors, particularly those from out of state, stated FBI profiler Dr. Michael Chen in his October 25 report. Riley appeared to view himself as a protector of the desert who needed to punish those who didn't show proper respect for sacred lands. Riley's journals contained increasingly violent fantasies about confronting tourists who violated his personal interpretation of appropriate park behavior. Entries from September 1994 described plans to educate visitors about consequences of disrespecting the desert environment. The investigation took a crucial turn when Detective Mendoza contacted Frank Martinez about specific locations where Riley might have taken victims. Martinez revealed that Riley had shown him a remote canyon, accessible only through maintenance roads, claiming it was a place where people learned to respect the land properly. Martinez admitted he had been concerned about Riley's behavior, but failed to report it to supervisors due to what he described as pressure to avoid conflicts that might affect park operations. Management made it clear they didn't want problems that could generate negative publicity, Martinez stated in his October 28 interview. Ground-penetrating radar scans of the location Martinez described revealed subsurface anomalies consistent with buried objects. Excavation began on November 2, 2024, under FBI supervision, with assistance from forensic anthropologists from the University of Utah. On November 5, forensic teams recovered human remains at a depth of 4 feet. Initial examination by Dr. Patricia Wong, forensic anthropologist, indicated the remains belonged to 2 individuals and showed evidence of being buried approximately 30 years earlier. DNA analysis conducted by the FBI laboratory confirmed the remains belonged to Michael and Sarah Henderson. Dr. Amanda Foster's forensic report indicated both individuals had suffered blunt force trauma to the head, suggesting they had been killed rather than died from natural causes. The trauma patterns are consistent with being struck by a heavy object, possibly a maintenance tool or rock, Dr. Foster stated in her November 12 preliminary findings. The injuries would have been immediately fatal. Evidence suggests the male victim was killed first, consistent with the carved message indicating he was taken. Additional evidence found at the burial site included fragments of the Hendersons' clothing, Michael's missing camera equipment, and Sarah's backpack containing her geology notebook. The camera's memory card, remarkably preserved in the dry desert conditions, contained the final photographs Michael had taken, including images showing an unidentified male approaching their remote campsite. FBI digital forensics specialist Robert Kim enhanced the photographs using advanced imaging software. While the images were too distant and poorly lit to definitively identify the approaching figure, clothing and build were consistent with Thomas Riley's physical description from 1994 personnel records. Analysis of the burial site indicated Sarah had been killed approximately 24 hours after Michael, supporting the theory that she had escaped initially and climbed to the remote location where she carved her desperate message before being recaptured. The discovery prompted Grand County District Attorney Lisa Chen to file posthumous charges against Riley for 2 counts of first-degree murder, though the charges were largely symbolic given Riley's death. The formal charges, announced on November 20, 2024, provided legal closure for the Henderson families. Patricia Novak, Sarah's sister, attended the press conference where the charges were announced. Finally, knowing what happened to Sarah and Michael doesn't bring them back, but it gives us the truth we've needed for 30 years, Novak stated. Sarah fought to leave us a message, and we finally heard it. She was braver than any of us imagined. The investigation also revealed systematic failures in the original 1994 investigation. Internal Park Service documents showed that Riley's supervisor had noted his unusual interest in the Henderson case and his knowledge of remote areas where the couple might have gone, but failed to report this information to law enforcement. Former Assistant Superintendent William Hayes, contacted at his retirement home in Arizona, declined to comment on his role in limiting the scope of the original search. However, documents obtained through Freedom of Information Act requests showed Hayes had received pressure from tourism industry representatives to conclude the investigation quickly to minimize negative publicity. Detective Mendoza's final report, submitted on December 1, 2024, concluded that Thomas Riley had likely targeted the Hendersons because of their expensive equipment and remote camping plans. Riley's journal suggested he viewed their presence in backcountry areas as disrespectful to the desert environment he felt obligated to protect through violent means. The case resolution prompted the National Park Service to implement new safety protocols, including enhanced background checks for employees with access to remote areas, improved communication systems for backcountry visitors, and mandatory reporting procedures for concerning employee behavior. Sarah Henderson's carved message, preserved at the original location, has been designated as an unofficial memorial. Park Service officials decided to leave the carving undisturbed as a testament to Sarah's determination to ensure the truth would eventually be discovered. The Henderson family established a scholarship fund at the University of Colorado in Sarah's memory, supporting students studying geology and environmental science. Michael's photography equipment, recovered from the burial site, was donated to a non-profit organization that teaches outdoor photography to underprivileged youth. Thomas Riley's case prompted investigators to review other unsolved disappearances in Utah's national parks during the 1990s. 2 additional cases showed similar patterns and are now being investigated as potentially connected to Riley's activities during his employment at multiple national parks.